Hi everyone, and welcome to another class on this YouTube channel, Tom Yoga Om. Today's class is all about doing some yoga to relieve pain in the back. At the moment, I'm nursing a bit of an injury in my lower back, and although I definitely encourage resting when you're injured, I also think that yoga offers us an opportunity to investigate and explore our bodies in a bit of a deeper way, to maybe relieve a little bit of that tension or soreness. And so that's what we're going to do today. Now, I'm not a doctor, and if you are going through any kind of injury or soreness, go and see a physician or a doctor. I just teach yoga and I can only convey what my personal experience is, and that's not going to be the case for you. It doesn't translate that way. So please go and seek professional medical advice. And if you are going to do this class, then just remember to move gently and to just make sure that you're being in tune with your body and not pushing through to try and accomplish anything. It's really about being gentle. Let's get started. Alrighty, so because I've got pain in my lower back, what I'm going to do is just come onto my back and lower myself down nice and slow. And what I'm looking to do is extend the spine out and just to find a little bit of length here. And I notice even as I lower myself down, I find that my back is not liking it right away. It's just a bit sensitive at the moment, and that's okay. To create a little bit more space in your hips, something you can do is walk your feet out a little bit wider and let your knees drop in. And then take one hand onto your belly, one hand onto your chest. And before we settle in, just tuck your shoulder blades together and down towards the hips. And then take a deep breath in. And exhale out of the mouth with a sigh. Let's take 2 more breaths in and out like that. And then just find a natural flow of the breath through your nostrils. Feel your hands rise up as you breathe in. And feel them soften down as you breathe out. And then we're going to do some counted breaths. So I want you to inhale for 4 seconds. We're going to hold for 4 seconds. And then I want you to exhale out for 6 seconds. So when you're ready, take a big breath in and out. And we'll start on the next breath. And then inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 4, 2, 3, 4. And exhale, 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And inhale, 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. And exhale for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And inhale for 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4, 2, 3, 4. And exhale for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale for 4. Hold for 4. And exhale for 6. And inhale for 4. And hold for 4. And exhale for 6. Let's just do one more here. Inhale for 4. Hold for 4. And exhale for 6. And after that final round of breathing in that way, just find a regular flow to your breath. And tune inwards and notice the shape of your breath and what it feels like to breathe into your body today. And see if you can breathe in a little bit deeper down into the pelvis. And start to take a sense of awareness down into the belly, but also down into the pelvis where your lower back is. So just noticing the way that your body changes shape as you breathe. And noticing what you feel in your back. And I think it's important to pay attention not only to the bad sensations or the ones that maybe are more uncomfortable, but also to notice when you breathe into your chest, for example, just to notice the space that's created there and the ease of which it is to breathe into that space. And then to breathe down into the belly and into the back, and notice when you feel any kind of discomfort kick in. And when do you feel it release? Can you follow that discomfort? Maybe it's pain or it's an injury. Just follow it with your mind. And become curious about its shape. So notice, does it feel like it's a solid kind of object, that it's got a density to it, or is there a softness to it? Does it feel sharp or throbbing? Does it feel like it's coming from one place or from an area? We're just going to be here for a couple more breaths. Just take this time to tune in and to observe. And though it's so tempting to get into the mindset of doing so, try not to change anything about what's happening. Just be the observer. So much of the benefit of yoga comes simply from being curious about what your experience is. And while we will act on that curiosity in a moment, for this first moment, pay attention particularly to what you're feeling and what's coming up for you. And then when you're ready, start to wake your body up. And to the best of your abilities, keep your mind and your awareness tuned inwards to where you feel any sensation of discomfort. And so don't let the movements be too big today. What we're instead going to do is just take a moment here, and really gently I want you to bring your feet in towards your hips as close as you can, and then slowly drop your knees onto your chest. And before you pull your knees inwards, just take your hands onto the tops of your knees and circle the knees. And you should notice that this kind of massages the lower back. Just become curious with your movement and make any movement or any shape or any pattern with your legs, with those rotations, with those movements that feels right for you. Let's just move in this space for the next 3 breaths. Moving in whatever way suits you. Just exploring, remaining curious, and take one more breath in and out. Good, and whenever you're ready, we're going to gently draw those knees into the chest, and just be mindful not to pull them into a point of pain. Just draw them in maybe about 50% of what you would normally do. And take a big breath in and out here. And as you exhale, slowly allow the weight of your arms to draw your knees in closer, but try not to use any force. Just let the weight of gravity, the weight of your arms draw your knees in. And again, take a big breath in. And as you exhale, feel the weight of gravity draw your knees in, stretching into your lower back. One more breath here. Inhaling in deep. And slowly exhaling, drawing them in one last time. Good. And when you're ready, we're going to gently release the left foot down onto the floor and bring the right ankle onto the left knee. Now, to stretch into the underside of your hip bone, we're going to take our arms around the left leg. And I know that we have probably done this before. You've probably done this before, but I want you to keep your curiosity focused inwards as you take 3 breaths here. Take an inhale into the belly, into the chest. And as you exhale, with the tiniest fractions of movement, bring that left leg in towards you. And as soon as you feel a stretch, hold there and see if you can soften that space where you feel the stretch over the next 2 breaths. So it doesn't need to be a deep stretch. It's just about finding the edge of the stretch and seeing if you can move the edge of the stretch a little bit deeper by learning to relax at your outer limits. Let's take one more full breath in and out. And then slowly release your left leg down and just change sides. Nice and easy. Left ankle onto the right knee and drawing that right leg in close. So for me, I noticed that on my right side, it's super tight. And so what I want to do is just back off and find the edge of the stretch, even if it's completely different to the first side, and take 3 breaths there. Just feel yourself softening. And take one more full breath in and out here. Good, and then slowly release down onto the floor. And from here, we're going to bring our arms out beside us into Cactus Arms. I want you to just drop your knees over to the right side without putting any effort into doing so. Just let them fall to where they land. And take 3 deep breaths in and out here. I think the hardest part about classes that are a little bit slower is that we have to let go of a part of ourselves that wants to do more, that wants to achieve more, that wants to push further. And I think there's this false association that I myself definitely carry, that I'm going to get more if I give more to it, to a thing. And that can be anything in life, right? But in a yoga class, the more I do yoga, the more I push myself to try and achieve something, the better I'll get. And it's just simply not the case. And the hardest part and the challenge and the workout for your mind in these classes, these slower ones, is really not in the physical body, but it's in a test of the mind and the ego. Can you tell that voice that is trying to tell you to be something or to do something a certain way, or to say, that's not how we do stuff, we're meant to do things differently? Can you quieten down that voice and just accept the moment that you're in? It's super hard to do, but that's the real challenge. Just take one more breath here. I know it's been a little bit longer than 3 breaths. See if you can soften a little more. And on your next breath in, lift your knees back to center and drop them over to the other side. Inside, I guess I just challenge you and I ask, if you are still with me, well done, really. It's hard to be this still. But if you are still with me, just notice what's coming up for you. What feelings are manifesting here? Can you observe them without tying yourself to them? That's quite hard to do as well. Let's take one more breath here. And if you're struggling at all, if you're finding this increasingly challenging, my voice is becoming increasingly frustrating for you, totally okay. You can either switch off, or you can decide to take your attention to your breath and just have a go at taking 3 more breaths here and see if you feel a little bit better. But keep your attention on that breath. Notice what comes up for you. And when you're ready, I'm going to bring those knees back to center and just land in the middle and take your last 2 breaths here. And just notice if the sensations in the back have changed, if you feel anything different. Hopefully you feel a little bit better. Sometimes weakness in the lower back, weakness in the hips can come from a lack of utilization of specific muscles in our body. We're going to come up into a bridge pose, and what I want you to do is just come up to a limit where you feel like you're doing okay, where you're not hurting. For this bridge pose, we're going to take our hands beside us, and usually we would take our fingertips and our heels to touch, but this time I just want you to walk your feet out a little bit further in front of you. And when we lift up in a moment, we're going to lift the hips off the floor, but we're going to keep our rib cage on the ground. And what this does is it encourages your glute muscles to engage, and sometimes it's the strengthening of those glute muscles that will work the region of the hips in a different way, and sometimes that's what you need to kind of feel a sense of release. So let's just explore if that's the case for you. When you're ready, press your hands and your feet down into the floor and just take a big breath in and a gentle breath out. And on your next breath in, just gently lift your hips up off the floor, but allow your rib cage to stay on the floor. So you can lift up as high as you feel is comfortable while keeping the ribs on the floor. And notice that your glutes start to engage. And as you come into this pose, notice, is it making the sensation, excuse me, the sensation of pain or injury better or worse? If it's making it worse, try and ease off. And if you need to, come onto the floor. Otherwise, just take 3 deep breaths here. Keep your glutes engaged. That's it. And take 1 more big breath in. And on your exhale, slowly lower your spine down onto the floor. And let's take 2 deep breaths in and out. Take 1 hand onto your belly, 1 hand onto your chest, and notice, does it feel different for you? Do you feel like there's a little bit of tension that's been relieved? Let's take 1 more big breath in and out. And then really slowly, we're going to bring ourselves up onto our sit bones. So slowly bring yourself up. Make sure you feel all right. And from here, we're going to drop our left leg out in front of us, bringing our tibia, shin bone, parallel to the top of our mat. So it's in the lines of the shin bone and the top of the mat are the same. You're going to bring your right knee just to the underside of that left foot. And then you bring your right foot beside you. So you're kind of drawing, I don't know what this shape is. I think it's called square pose, but deer pose. But it's a bit of a weird shape. And it's normal that your right sitting bone is lifting up. That's totally fine. We're going for that. I want you to start by taking your hands over to the outside of your left thigh, right? And just take a big breath in. And as you exhale, think of reaching out through the top of your head and just folding forward over the left side of your body. And when you start to feel a sensation in your back, I want you to hold there and just take a couple of breaths. Notice what's coming up for you. Just one more. And from here, we're going to start to walk our hands further around and towards the front of our mat. So we're kind of creeping them forward, and you might come forward to a point and you won't feel anything, and that's great. Brilliant that you don't feel anything in that pose. But what I'd like you to do from this position is you've moved your hands slightly closer towards the top of your mat, is just take a big breath in, extend out through the top of your head again, and really gently fold yourself over your leg once more until you do feel something, until you do find a stretch. And unless you're a dancer or a gymnast, chances are this is a pretty deep stretch for you. And that's good. All these muscles we're working into really slowly, they're all connected to the hips. The hips are connected to the lower back. And by stretching the muscles connecting to the hips, we might relieve some tension that's being built up in the lower back. That's what we're aiming to do. Just take one more big breath in and out here. Good, and once again, walk your hands closer towards the top of your mat. You're just creeping them forward, and I find as soon as I come a little bit more forward to the center of my mat, I feel it immediately, and it's too deep for me. Too deep today. So I'm going to press into my hands and lift my body up a little higher, extend out through the top of my head, and as I exhale, I'm finding the edge of that stretch and just holding there. I'm taking 2 breaths. And just try and soften through your hips. Soften any sensation of tension that you're feeling. And then really slowly bring yourself forward to the top of your mat for the last position here. And this forward-facing position is a little bit, feels a little bit awkward, to be honest. And it's meant to feel that way. It's totally okay that it does. So long as you're feeling a stretch and that stretch feels like it's doing some good work to your body, then you've got it. Let's take one more breath in and out here. And then have a go at just walking your hands further over to the right side and plant your right hand down. Just lift your left arm up and extend it over towards the right side of your body. Good, not working too hard here, just stretching to the left side of the belly. Taking a big breath in and a big breath out to extend. Good, and then slowly, slowly, slowly sweep your left arm up and place it all the way down onto the ground. We're going to change sides, so do that really gently. We're going to bring our right leg out in front of us and bring our left knee into our right foot. Again, it's okay that that left sitting bone lifts up. Gently take your hands over to the right side. Inhale to extend out through the top of your head and exhale to fold to your limit. And you might find it you might feel the stretch in a different spot on this other side. And that's totally okay. Take one more big breath in and out here. And then walk your hands a little closer to the top of your mat. And remember, you might not feel anything right away. That's okay. Take a big breath in and out. Lengthen out through the top of your head. And as you exhale, just fold over that right leg. Fold over your right knee. When you feel the stretch, hold there and just breathe. Breathe and soften. And when you're ready, gently press into your hands and walk them a little bit further over towards your left side, towards the top of your mat. And again, just start by lifting up, extending out through the top of your head and exhaling to fold down and holding here. Taking a couple of big breaths in, big breaths out, and slowly releasing over the top of that leg. If you're still here, amazing, good for you. I think it's really admirable that you have decided to take the time and acknowledge that it's good to be moving slow sometimes. Let's take another big breath in, big breath out, soften a little bit more. And we're going to move to our final kind of pose here, where our arms are extended out to the top of our leg, top of the mat. And just lift yourself up, extend out through the top of your head. And exhale, fold your torso down. This is a deep one for me. This really activates where I've been feeling the tension and the pain in my back. And so it feels really good to give it that time to breathe into it. And to slow down, just take one more big breath in. And a smooth breath out. Good, and when you're ready, we're going to walk our hands further over to that left side. You might find that you need another stretch here and you want to hold for a couple of more breaths. And if that's the case for you, please do so. Otherwise, take your left hand over to the left side of your body. And just sweep your right arm up. And really gently just fold it over towards that right side, the left side. A couple of tongue twisters today. I'm not going to edit them out. It's not happening. Today is about just accepting what you're feeling. Breathe into that right side of your body, right side of your belly, right side of your chest. Let's take one more big breath in and out. Exhale to stretch. And inhale to lift both arms up. And exhale to float them down. Good. Let's come forward onto our hands and our knees into a tabletop position. Just be really gentle with your body right now. And from here, we're going to just drop our hips down onto our heels. And before you lower your torso down, make sure that your lower back feels okay. And if it does, then bring yourself all the way down onto the ground. Make a cushion with your arms or with your hands. And let's take 3 deep breaths. Try to soften on your exhale. One more. When you're ready, just look forward and bring yourself forward onto your belly. We're going to do 3 more stretches before we wrap things up. As soon as I brought myself down, I just felt a tension and a twang in my lower back. It doesn't feel good. And if that's the case for you, just bring yourself down onto your belly and bring your forehead down onto your hands and just rest here for a moment. Take a couple of deep breaths in and out. Good, and the next thing we're going to do, just lift our foreheads off the floor. I want you to bring your left leg out beside you, kind of to a 90-degree angle. So your knee is in alignment with your hip. And then just bring your right cheek down onto your hands. And let's take 5 deep breaths in and out here. And what I really want you to try and do is soften through the hips. So really just let go. Softening and stretching through the insides of your hips. And just breathing. And after that third exhale, gently press into your hands, lift your head up off the floor. And from here, we're going to change sides, but because our hips are quite sensitive, because your lower back might be sensitive, just do it really, really slowly. Straightening your left leg out, bringing your right leg out to the right side, your knee is in alignment with your hip, and bring your left cheek down onto your hands. Take 5 deep breaths in and out. Softening through the hip with each exhale. And releasing and letting go of the desire to achieve, to be something. It's practicing a little bit of self-care and a bit of self-love. Take one more breath here. Good, and when you're ready, once again you can lift your head up off the floor and straighten your right leg out. And from here, all we're going to do is take a little bit of time to roll ourselves over onto our backs. And once again, if you find yourself feeling like your lower back is sore, I really encourage you to bend your knees and bring your feet flat on the floor. And then I'd like you to take one hand onto your chest, one hand onto your belly. You can walk those feet out wider and let the knees drop in. And just take some deep breaths in and out. And notice how the space in your lower back is feeling. And just to relieve a little bit of that mental tension that sometimes can come about whenever we do a slower class or whenever we are finding ourselves in any kind of stress, really. Be that an injury-related stress or a work-life-related stress or any kind of stress. Just take a big breath in through your nostrils. And as you exhale, I want you to sigh out of your mouth and really just let it go. Let's just take 4 more breaths like that. So a big breath in through the nostrils. And a real big release sigh out of the mouth. 3 more. Good. If there are more breaths like that within you and you want to take them, then feel free to do so. Otherwise, just start to wriggle your fingers, wriggle your toes, and gently wake your body up. And if it feels all right for you, you can either stay here or you could roll over onto your right side or your left side, depending on what feels right for your body. And just notice how your body feels. Maybe it feels the exact same. Hopefully it doesn't feel worse. Maybe it feels better. Let's take a big breath in and out here. And whenever you're ready, if it feels all right for your body, gently bring yourself up to a comfortable seat. And just take some time to adjust your body in whatever way you need to make yourself comfortable. And thank you for having the agency within you, the strength within you to join me for a really, really slow class. It's not easy to do, and I don't think it is it's a thing that we move towards. So well done. I implore you for having the courage to stay and to just be with your body and to notice what's coming up for you. I hope that that has brought you at least a little bit of relief, and I hope that your injury or your pain, or whatever it is that your body is feeling stressed from, was able to release a little bit. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.